Just tell me. And Philadelphia. Any Valley. What was your graduation date? 1995. June. And just get a steady diploma or study. Okay, I was just University of Rhode Island. I was in Rhode Island. What was the date? Here. What? CAC? Your qualified education. Education. And your signature. And sure. You you haven't registered yet. You haven't registered. Good morning. Where's my microphone? Hello? Anybody there?
Good morning.
How was your spring break? Can you speak up so I can see you?
Good morning. How are you?
Good. How was your spring break?
It was okay. I worked most of it.
Well, that's okay. I
Wasn't
feel
long
like I
enough.
had fun. Other than this weekend, I had to go up to Richmond for my nephew's wedding. So, uh, that's all right. So I drove up Saturday and drove back Sunday. Did you do anything exciting over break other than just work?
No, I worked and slept, and that was about it.
Worked and slept. Okay. Well, let's talk about a few things before we get started. Do you know what happened last week in the world of animal agriculture in the United States?
No,
Did you listen to the news any?
I did, but I don't think I really paid attention.
Okay. Well, we had what happened out west was a horrible disaster. Total numbers aren't in yet. Uh, there was a rash of wildfires. Things were pretty dry in West Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Colorado, and there was a series of wildfires. And talking to a buddy of mine out there, he thinks they were started with cigarette butts that people threw out along the road, and it smoldered and caught the grass on fire, and the wind picked up and took off. So there was a series of wildfires. I think at the last count, 7 people had died. I don't know how many million acres have burned, but thousands upon thousands of cattle and other forms of livestock have been killed, burned up, died of smoke inhalation. Some so bad they had to just shoot them, put them down. One guy, the Gardner Ranch out in Kansas, and they're a big seed stock producer for the Angus, for Angus breed. Uh, in fact, one of those bulls we were looking at on the genetics uh, from from Gardner's. Uh, they lost over 500 head of cows. That's substantial. I saw an interview with him, and he was standing out in the pasture, and the pasture was black, and it was littered with dead cow bodies they hadn't picked up yet. This was like the day after. He said, this boundary we're in is a calving boundary. We had 72 cows in here. Some had already calved, some the others were getting ready to calve. And they came by so fast that it killed every one of them. We couldn't even get them out of here. And his losses up to that point were about 500 head. And it could be more. And several other ranchers are in the same boat. Some ranchers have lost everything they had, including their lives. These 2 cowboys, 3 cowboys, one of them owned the ranch. The other guy was his friends. He called them, said, "Hey, can you come help me? I got to go open gates and try to get my cattle away from these fires." They found their horses, and they found their charred bodies. It was devastating. So I don't know what the total numbers of cattle lost will be. As I said, up to this point now, there were 7 lives that were lost. Uh, and I know at least 3 of those people were out trying to save their cattle. The other 4 people, I don't know what the story was. Uh, but, I mean, that's horrible. Uh, when all these numbers are tallied up, you know, we will get a percentage of how many total cows we lost, compared to the whole beef herd. And millions of acres are burned up. These ranchers, they lost all their grass. Some lost their barns and their houses and all their hay stores. They lost their fences, and they're hurting. So keep them in your thoughts and prayers. It's a bad, bad deal. Uh, so I wanted to talk about that and let you know that was going on. And then in the northern part of the country, we're having blizzards. Uh, and again, if you're a spring calving herd, a lot of the spring calving herds start calving in March. So, these guys are having a pretty rough time. They could be losing some livestock or some baby calves. Those guys, in their defense, they're used to this, are used to snow and cold weather and calving. And most of them have barns, and they'll bring those calves in when the weather's bad. Otherwise, they leave them outside. Um, but when you're having a blizzard, your life is in danger as well. Especially if you're out there trying to look after your calving cows. But have you ever been in a blizzard? A true boot
No,
blizzard? I tell
no.
you what, here, I was in one in Nebraska, and it came at night, and I went out. We were done. It wasn't calving season. We'd had everything fed. We knew everything was coming, so we put out extra hay and stuff like that. But it was snowing sideways, and it was snowing so hard you couldn't see anything. I mean, it was, and the wind was blowing real bad. So you had the snow picking up from the ground, combining with the snow coming down. It was whiteout conditions, literally. You couldn't see a thing, just a big wall of white. Uh, so it's they've got their hands full. So we'll see how that impacts pricing here in the next little bit with the price of cattle and all. A couple other things I wanted to talk on. And number one is the ration balancing. The online students, I realize that you're not in class and you can't answer questions. You can't ask questions. And I realize too that we have had some issues with the recordings. So I've gotten your homeworks in for those of you that submitted it. And, I didn't see your exams. I don't know where they went to. I guess they might have gone to Tom and Tom graded them. But I don't know. I can't help you unless you call me. Okay. Um, and you've got a lot of rations to balance for your project. So please call me. I will walk you through this ration balancing. Now, and I'd mentioned this earlier, when we ration balance for horses, we do it with kilocalories. So it's completely different. And unless you read that Virginia Tech Extension publication about balancing rations for horses and go through that example and understand it really well, you need to give me a call because you're going to have to balance rations for your horses as well. Okay? So please call me regarding the balancing of rations. You will see that again on the final exam. So it's important for you guys to understand how to do that. And you're going to have to do it for your projects. If you got beef cattle, you're going to have rations for each of those stages of production. You're going to have rations for weaned calves. And if you're developing your heifers, you're going to have rations for developing your heifers. And you're going to have rations for your bulls as well that you have. So you're going to have at least 6 rations. So you need to know how to do it and do it right. For you horse people, you're going to have, I don't know what you have. If you have a breeding farm, I can't remember what y'all were doing. You're going to have the stages of production for your brood mares and weanling horses. And I guess you're going to sell them at weaning. If you keep them, then you need to do yearling and 2-year-old ration balancing. If you're doing a boarding, situation. You're going to have to figure out whether those horses are in hard work, moderate work, or light work, or maintenance, and balance rations for those accordingly. So you're going to have some rations to balance um, in several, so you need to know how to do it. So call me. The other thing I wanted to talk about, and we didn't really discuss this either, and I guess I take some of this stuff for granted, and I'm sorry. Um, it's my lack of thinking. Uh, is on forage production, your forage management. You know, we've talked about legumes, clovers, and alfalfa a little bit. Um, Clovers or legumes are high in protein, and so we can put legumes in our pastures along with the grass and have a really high quality product for grazing. You know, whether it's Medano clover or red clover or even a grazing variety of alfalfa. Uh, and or We can also have that in our hay fields to produce high quality of hay. You know, with a higher quality of protein from those legumes. So, you know, they offer a lot. Also, another advantage of the legumes is, you know, we talked about some of the issues with fescue. Um, you know, it's very expensive to go in there and kill out your grass and come in there and plant another stand of grass, whether it's a endophyte free fescue or some other type of forage or grass. So, you know, if we're seeing problems, one of the things we can do is dilute it. You've heard the old saying, if you're going to pollute, at least dilute. Uh, so we can come in there and we can plant clovers or bird's foot trefoil or lespedeza uh, or alfalfa, a grazing form of alfalfa, a little bit tougher in our pastures, and use that for grazing to dilute those effects of the endophyte in our fescue. Now, some of you, or at least one of the online students, was just going to have all their pastures in alfalfa, and they were going to hay it and graze it. And that theory, that works fine in theory. Uh, in practicality, it's going to be tough. Alfalfa is expensive. It's fickle. Uh, it if your soil's swampy or really moist, it's not going to grow. Those roots will drown. Alfalfa roots will go sometimes as much as 20 foot deep, uh, which is why if you go out west and you see hay being grown, most times it's alfalfa. You know, the west is more arid; they have to irrigate, so you'll see you'll see alfalfa a lot being grown for forage production for hay. And the reason being is because those roots go down deep to find water. The soil's more conducive to growing alfalfa. Uh, it's easier to get put up. As I said, it's an expensive crop. It's hard to get put up here in Virginia because it rains a lot and it's humid, and alfalfa is kind of stemmy, especially that first cutting. So it's hard to get cured. Um, so um, you know, that's one reason it's you don't see a whole lot of alfalfa being grown. I mean, people grow it. Don't get me wrong, uh, but it's fickle. Um, Now, using it for grazing, and we see this also with red clover. If we just turn out a bunch of cattle or sheep on alfalfa, red clover, we're going to kill them. They'll get a condition of what's known as bloat. Uh, what happens is that the rumen gets really frothy with eating that alfalfa and red clover. It causes a lot of froth, white bubbly stuff in the rumen, very gassy, and they will swell up like a balloon and suffocate to death. So that happens, you've got two choices. You can use what's it called, a trachea, and punch a hole into their rumen and let all the air out, or you can run a pipe, a hose, or a tube down their nostril or esophagus into the rumen and let that air come out. So, in order to prevent the bloat by going in there and grazing a pasture or a field of alfalfa or red clover, you have to give them a supplement called bloat guard. And that may be a brand name, I don't know, but it's a product like that. It prevents bloat, and so they have to have that at a certain rate per day uh, prior to turning it in, and then while they're grazing it. Now, I have seen livestock on alfalfa. It's kind of common in out west after the first frost. They'd go in there on those alfalfa pivots after a really hard killing frost and let cattle go in there and graze it. After it's dead, after that big hard killing frost, you're okay. Once it's all wilted down, you shouldn't have too many bloat issues. But if it's before the killing frost, or if it's in a wilted stage, you could have issues with bloat. Same thing with clover. Uh, so you would have to, you're going to have to give them a bloat guard supplement or a product similar to bloat guard. When I was in Colorado, um, the neighboring ranch had a lot of sheep, and they were grazing one of their alfalfa fields, and they did strip grazing. They gave them just enough alfalfa for the day, and they had the poly wire, and they would move it up, and they had all these blocks set out for bloat guard for those sheep to eat. And they started it on. I think they gave them the bloat guard, gave them access to the bloat guard prior to turning them into the alfalfa, and then would limit how much they could have on the alfalfa through the strip grazing, but they had free choice of the bloat guards, and they got along okay with it. Uh, on the ranch I worked at, we had this big field. We irrigated it. It had a lot of alfalfa in it, but it was, I guess, it was alfalfa grass mix. Um, and when we first turned into it, we put out bloat guard for those cows because they're going to go. They're like people in a way. They're going to go eat the good stuff first. And alfalfa is just like candy to them. So we put out bloat guard before we turned into that alfalfa grass mixture, uh, because that would be the first thing they would eat would be that alfalfa. So we were doing everything we could to prevent bloat. We got along with it. So uh, just keep that in mind, that if having alfalfa for your pastures to graze is probably going to be uneconomical. Uh, and if you're dealing with horses and alfalfa, there's a pest that you have to be real careful of. It's called blister beetle, and I don't know a whole lot. I know you see a lot of it out west. I don't know how much of an issue we have here in Virginia with it, but it's very crucial that you harvest your alfalfa at 10% bloom, because once that stuff starts blooming out more, that's when those blister beetles go in to eat it. And when they get ran through the baler uh, and get baled up and they die, they're very toxic to horses. It'll kill them, cause blisters in the horses' mouths, and they'll die. So you need to be aware of that. If you're feeding alfalfa, you need to make sure there's uh, check about the blister beetles. So keep that in mind. Uh, so I personally wouldn't have the alfalfa in my pastures or a pure alfalfa stand. Um, I may have it, depending on my soils, you know, it'd be neat to have some out there within the grass, mix a grass alfalfa mix. But like I said, it's hard to grow. It's easier just to go clovers. So I wanted to bring that up to some of those online students that were doing that. Any questions you may have? Because you were working
Okay.
on you want to put together uh, your nutrition and some of those sections for me to turn in next week, correct?
I think I turned in some of them already.
Well, I got. I'll tell you what I got from you in the email. Uh, I got your HR assignments, some of them. Uh, I sent you an email telling you what I got. I don't know if you did them all. If you did them all, I didn't get them all. I think I just got a few of them. And your new, let me pull this up. Animal production. You just sent it in this morning at 12 midnight. It came through.
Yeah, my
Ah,
internet was messing up all week, so it took forever for
uh-huh.
anything to send.
Well, Jasmine, that's how come I haven't seen those to just now, because it didn't come through to midnight. And you know where I was at midnight?
Sleep.
I was asleep. So I'll open these up. So I see you got a health plan, forage, and feed cost. Great.
And then I sent my
So
other rations too
okay, good deal.
in a separate email.
All right, I see that. 10 attachments. Okay. So, good deal. You have, if that's right, you should have most of your stuff together. You just want to put it in one big document and put your PowerPoint together. Uh, you have your rations, your forage, your maps, your health. Um, Now, the other thing you need to do, uh, let's go over here to these enterprise budgets. Um, Now, I was kind of telling you, pretty much told you, I want you to incorporate some economics in this. So, uh, where were we at? Right here. So, uh, you got, I was telling you how to do figuring up your feed costs. You're doing spring calving, right? Hay ration.
Yes.
Come on. So, you know what your feed costs are going to be? You can do this or you don't have to do this. It doesn't matter. Um, but here's what you're going to, some goals you need to look at. All right. They're basing this on just averages across the country of 90% conception rate. So if you have uh, 90 cows, you're going to, or if you have 100 cows, you'll have 90 of them get bred. Uh, and your percent calves weaned per cow exposed is 85%. So you're looking at another 5% death loss on your calves from birth to weaning. So you're looking at having 85 calves to wean from the cows that you exposed to breed. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right, so the cows that did not get bred, you're going to cull them. That's your annual cull rate. You notice that right here, it's about 15% of your cows. You're looking at culling the cows that didn't get open or that didn't get bred. You're looking at possibly culling those cows that lost their calves if they didn't die in the process. And then you're going to be looking at culling any cows, old age, bad udders, lameness. So 14% annual culling rate is normal. Looking at about a 1% annual cow death loss. You're going to have them, you're going to lose them. It's that simple. Whether they die during calving, they eat a poisonous plant, they get struck with lightning. Hopefully you don't have a big loss like those ranchers last week had out west with the wildfires and lose everything. Now right here, 30% of the heifers weaned to be kept as replacements. If you're only culling 14% of your cows, why are you keeping double the amount of heifers for replacements? Any idea why that would be? I know you're not raising replacements, but why is that a general rule of thumb? Keep double the replacements that you actually need or anticipate needing.
In case you lose other ones.
Okay, in case you lose some other cows, some of these heifers may not breed. Okay, so they might not get bred, or you may get them all bred, and then you do. If they all get bred, you've got some flexibility here. If they all come up bred, you can keep extra to expand your herd, or you can cull a little bit heavier on your other cows and keep back these young heifers, or you can sell them as bred heifers. Uh, Theoretically, if you're doing a good job with genetics, these young heifers, these replacement heifers, should be genetically superior to your older cows. So, you may be culling on production and keeping these extra heifers as well. So, that's just kind of standard. So, because some of those aren't going to breed, you may cull more cows than you anticipate, or it gives you more flexibility to cull some of those other cows. It gives you flexibility of selling some of those heifers as bred heifers and adding value to them, or expanding your herd. So, with these numbers, Jasmine and the rest of the class, what you're looking at is, say you're going to sell your calves. So if you have like 100 cows, you're not going to you're probably not going to sell 100 calves every year. You're going to be selling closer to 85 if you don't keep back replacements. If you keep back replacements, it's going to drop. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because every fall when you sell those cows or when you preg check, you're going to sell all those open cows. You're going to lose some calves when they calve during calving time. Uh, some of those cows may abort over the winter, uh, and that's as long as it's not a disease related issue. That's you know if you just have one or two out of 100, that's kind of to be expected because they'll get along those troughs and they'll bump into each other and junk like that, and it could knock loose the fetus. Now, if it's a disease issue and you have several, you better get a vet out there. You better recheck your vaccination program because making sure everything's right because you could have Vibrio or brucellosis or lepto causing those abortions or even trick. So but you're not going to have 100 calves to sell. 85 would be a good number to expect. Uh, Unless you know, uh, but then you're going to replace those cows. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I mean, you may have 100, you may have more, but you're going to lose cat. You're going to lose calves. Uh, so you know, don't expect to sell 100 calves out of 100 cows. Uh, you're going to be looking at 85 to 90 to 93, 90 to 93, maybe even 95, depending on when you count or how many cows you got at calving time that's going to calve. But you need to keep up with this percent weaned calves per cow exposed, because that's a good basis. Uh, it's a good measurement of your reproduction and nutrition. Uh, so you're going to have to come up with a projected price of what you're going to sell those calves for. We talked about the futures, right, on how to figure out that price.
I think so.
Yeah, just go figure out a price. Look at the futures, and I'll do that with you here in a minute. You know how your feed costs, uh, your vaccination costs. Just call up there and ask them what it's going to cost for your co-op, and see what vaccines cost. Uh, and so that would take care of your feed. Check your dewormer, all these things. Uh, and your IBR, PI3, lepto. Check on those prices. Uh, if you do ester synchronization, you need to get the prices for that, and you can figure up your total costs and then get a projected figure for what your calves are going to sell for. Multiply that by the pounds of calves, and you get your projected income. Make sense?
Yes.
Now, for your Let's go over here to Google. Uh, look at this one more time in case people missed it. Uh, if you'll just search in, I just do the Chicago Board of Trade, uh, hit futures. It'll come up CME Group. It doesn't matter. You see it, Chicago Mercantile Exchange. Um, let's just go to live cattle, and we'll find crap. And let's see what. Be another product. We'll go down here to cattle, feeder cattle, because that's what you're going to be selling. When are you calving and when do you plan to sell?
Calvin in March and plan to sell October, I think.
All right. So you're going to be weaning in October, right?
Yes.
Okay. Remember how we discussed you want to get those calves weaned and try to sell them? You don't want to sell them straight off that cow. You're going to try to market them where you say, hey, my calves are weaned, they've been vaccinated. And we talked a lot about the Virginia Beef Quality Assurance Program and trying to sell them on those sales or sell them to the Virginia cattlemen's. Now, so if you're going to wean them in October, they need to be weaned about 45 to 60 days. Okay? So you're looking at selling them in December or January. So, you're going to have to come up with a ration for about 60 days for those weaned calves. So, just scroll down here to, there's not a December one, there's November, and there's January. So you can use either the November or January one for your projected price for those calves. And realize this can change today, so don't get too uppity about it. So like right now, it's plus 0.025. It opened up at 9 o'clock, I think. It's increased a little bit from the opening. Right here's the last settle where it's at. So what that means, 124.250. What's that mean to you? Is that per calf?
I have no idea.
All right. Cattle are sold on the hundredweight. Okay, so for every 100 pounds of calf, say I'm buying your calves in November, and this is the price, I'm gonna pay you $124, and just went up 75 cents for every 100 pounds of calf that you have. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So you hear people talk about calves are, $1.18 or $1.22 or $1.24 or $2 a pound. How do they come up with that?
They take that number and divide it by 100.
Yeah, or just move your decimal over 2 parts to the left, right? So that would be $1.24 a pound. But typically cattle are sold, or the numbers are reported per hundredweight. And you buy and sell cattle per hundredweight. So That's so that's how you're gonna figure out what your price is, your expected projected price. That makes sense to you?
Yes.
Now, if you had enough numbers, to warrant buying uh, feed in bulk, you're feeding that three-way mix, right? From Southern
Yes.
States.
Yes.
All right. So another thing you could do to cut your cost and buy instead of buying it from Southern States already mixed up. That's if you had enough money, or I mean, enough money, or had enough cows to warrant it. Okay, you can buy a tractor trailer load of corn, or tractor trailer load of cracked corn. You can buy a tractor trailer load of soy hulls, and you can buy a tractor trailer load of corn gluten, and you can mix it yourself. That makes sense.
Yes.
You know, uh, but you're gonna have to have enough cattle to warrant that. If you don't, you're gonna have a lot of wasted feed because it'll go bad on you over the summer, and you're just probably better off buying it Southern States or your local wherever you're buying it from. But you can buy these things. You can crack corn's gonna be a little bit more all the time because it's being processed. Uh, Soy hulls, it's not listed as a commodity. It's a byproduct. You can look at it. You just have to price it. And the same thing with gluten. It's a byproduct. It's not sold on the commodities. But uh, say if you were doing corn, and I don't know how big a contract is. It may be a trained carload, however many tons that holds, but it's a certain number of bushels. But I don't know how many bushels it is. But just go ahead and price it at Southern States. But just know that uh, you can go in there and buy bulk commodities of your feed and mix them up yourself. If you have enough cattle, it's probably cheaper. When I worked at Stewart Land and Cattle Company, we had about 1,600 head of mama cows. We bought tractor trailer loads of stuff, tractor trailer loads of corn, uh, tractor trailer loads of gluten, and we just mixed it up ourselves. So you know, there's a lot of options you can do. I'm not going to tell you one option's wrong, one option's right. It's what works for your farm. That makes sense.
Yes.
All right. Are you raising hay for your farm? Or are you buying your hay?
I I was gonna buy it.
Okay. All right. If you're raising hay, you need to look at. You need to do me a crop budget as well. Uh, for those of you doing alfalfa hay, there's your alfalfa uh, crop budget enterprise. Uh, and if you're raising corn silage, there's your corn silage budget. You just got to get regular, or you got to get today's prices to put in there. This 14 ton, 15 ton, 18 ton, these numbers are the how many tons per acre of silage that you're getting. And I guess average land around where I'm at, it's going to be about 18 to 20 tons. I think 18 is a good number to shoot for where I'm at. What it is in your area, I don't know. There in Washington County, depending on where you're at, you may be looking more like it's 21 ton or 20 tons per acre. Uh, but I don't know. Um, hay budgets, um, orchard grass, timothy, uh, where's the fescue hay? Fescue pasture maintenance. Doesn't talk about the fescue hay. Huh. Used to be in here, I thought. But anyway, um, and you may want to look at this pasture maintenance budget. Um, let's pull it up. And that's just clover, fescue, pasture. Uh, and if it's already established, you're not going to have to worry about doing that seed because it's already there. But you're looking at nitrogen, adding your phosphorus, adding your fertilize and your lime, uh, and any type of herbicides or, going in there and killing undesirable plants. Uh, so, it's not, you want to figure out what it's going to cost you fertilize, basically, or spraying weeds. But, uh, you know, you need to put these things together. Uh, anything you think I'm leaving out? I'm trying to make sure I'm getting everything covered.
I can't think of anything.
Okay, good. All right. So, um, what I wanted to do today, and I've gotten sidetracked, I wanted to show you that video about reproduction because we've covered genetics. We went over that before spring break. So I want to do, I want to go over reproduction, but we need to have an exam soon. So, um, we'll talk about that. Uh, what we have covered since our last exam, keep me straight, Jasmine. Our first exam talked about nutrition and forage management, correct?
Yes.
All right. So our second exam, we're going to talk about health and vaccinations, genetics, uh, and you want me to talk about you want me to try to put some reproduction on that second exam or save it for the final?
You can put some on the second exam.
Okay. All right. Now, do you have any questions about EPDs on genetics? We're not going to get into reproduction today. I want to go over that. I want to show you that video first. Uh, but do you have any? Do you have any questions about EPDs? If I gave you, hang on a second. Let me go back here. If I gave you a thing to, this is an old exam I'm looking at. Huh. It's not on here. All right. Let me see what this is. If I gave you a scenario, can you figure out uh, which bull to use?
I think so.
All right. Let me. Hang on. Let me see what I can find right here. You'll bear with me. I got sidetracked and I've ran out of time for what I want to do. So I'm trying to come up with something else real quick. So just bear with me. Let me see what, if it's on, trying to figure out which, where this is at. Which zip drive it's on is what I'm trying to say. Uh, okay. It's not on this zip drive. Give me a second. All right, how come it's not reading? Come on. There we go. All right. See if it's on this one. Okay. Uh, all right. We got three bulls up here. Can you see that? You need me to make it bigger?
Yes, can you make it a little bit bigger?
Okay. How'd you tell me to do that? Control what?
Plus.
Yeah, that's not working. All right. Still not working. All right. Any other ideas?
At the bottom of the Word document, you might can it should be a little bar or something. Most of the time it is.
Think. Here we go. All right. So we got two bulls or three bulls, A, B, and C. This one here is a breed average. Okay. We know this. What's the BW EPD stand for?
Birth weight,
WW,
weaning weight,
YW,
yearling weight,
milk,
um, that's how much the um, bull's daughter is gonna have milk production.
Okay, that's how much we're expecting the bull's grand get to grow due to the daughter's milk production. We're expecting
Okay.
because of the daughter's milk production. Okay. REA, what's that?
I don't remember that one.
Ribeye area, and it's expressed as square inches. And marbling, what's marbling?
How much fat?
Yeah, it's the fat within the muscle. So again, that's expressed in inches. REA and marbling are carcass traits. Okay. So looking at those three bulls, and this is the breed average for the bulls, or for whatever breed that is. From those three bulls, which would you expect to sire the heaviest calves at birth?
Bull A.
The heaviest?
No. C.
Take a look at bull B.
Wait. Hold on. I can't see it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. Bull B.
All right. I would say bull B.
Yeah.
Okay. He's got the heaviest birth weight EPD. All right. From the three bulls, would you expect to sire females that would wean heavier calves due to their daughter's milk production?
Bull B would still be heavier.
Which one are you going to be which EPD would you be looking at on that? Look here.
The wean weight.
Which bull would you expect to sire females that would wean heavier calves due to the bull's daughter's milk production?
So it would be the milk one, and it would be bull A.
Okay, bull A. So you got to read that question. We're not talking about weaning weight. We're talking about maternal weight, or maternal milk production from that bull's daughters. Okay. From the three bulls, which bull would you expect to sire calves with the best carcass traits?
Bull C.
Okay. Bull C. All right, from the three bulls, which bull would you expect to sire calves that weighed the heaviest at weaning time?
B.
B. Okay, here you go. You got to think. If you're breeding 20 virgin heifers this spring, 20 yearling heifers, from the three bulls listed, which bull would you choose to AI to your heifers?
A.
Okay. you have a terminal cross herd, that's saying all your calves are sold. That's what you're going to be doing, right? But you're not raising any of your replacements, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So all calves are sold, and they're sold as yearlings. So instead of selling them after weaning, after you get them weaned, they're grazing them and they're selling them as yearling. They're grazing them, and then they're going to sell them when they're a year old, when they're about 800-900 pounds. Okay. Uh, the cows in this herd are mature cows. They range from 4 to 8 years old. They're medium to large frame cows that average about 1,300 pounds. Which of the three bull to which of the three bulls would you breed those cows? And tell me why. So you got mature cows, they're large cows. You're selling your calves at weaning at yearling based on yearling weight, or when they're a year old. So are you going to worry about milk production if you're selling all the cows?
Yes.
Why?
Well,
Are you
no.
selling all the
No.
calves? No, because you're going
No.
to buy replacements, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you're not worried about yearling. I mean, you're not worried about milk production. Are you worried about? Are you going to be real concerned about weaning weight?
No.
No, you're going to be looking more at yearling weight, right?
Yes.
What about carcass traits?
No.
Well, that's something you need to keep in mind, okay? Because eventually those calves that you're selling, they're going to go to somebody's going to eat them. All right? And once you establish, you know, say you sold a load of your calves to a feedlot and they did really well and they had really good carcass traits, that guy's going to come back and try to buy more of your calves because he made money from it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, you're going to start wanting, you're going to try to get repeat buyers, and they're going to be paying a premium because they know what your cattle do in the feedlot. So, are you going to discount the carcass traits?
No.
No, but you may not. That may not be your deciding factor either. Okay. Are you going to be worried about birth weights with those mature cows?
No.
I mean, if you take a look at birth weight EPD, the average of that breed is almost 2 pounds, right? So you got one bull that's 1.9 uh, and minus 0.04. You got a pretty low birth weight with this bull A. You got almost 6 pounds. You got a 4 pound difference between the average with bull B, of bull B being heavier, and 1.9, 2.9, 3.9, 2, and almost 2.5 pounds above average on birth weight for bull C. Are you going to be real concerned about the birth weight,
No.
or do you want a low birth weight cows?
I don't think you'd be too concerned about it because the mature cows are so big.
And they're big. You're right. So I'm going to eliminate bull A, right?
Yes.
I'm not worried about a Cavanese bull for that scenario, correct? Would you agree with me or not?
I agree.
Okay, so I'm going to be looking at bull B and bull C for my, to breed to. One of these two bulls. So which one would you breed to and why?
Uh, I'd say bull B because it has a higher yearling weight.
Okay, it has a higher yearling weight EPD. 23-pound difference between B and C. You see where I'm getting at?
Yes.
Okay. And at $1.22 a pound, that's a lot of money, isn't it?
Yes.
So, uh, I'm not going to disagree with Bull B. Now, what would be if you decided to go with Bull C, what would be your reasoning?
Better carcass traits.
Yeah. Uh, and you could say, I know I'm not selling my cattle to, you know, directly to a packer, but if I have good carcass traits, I'm going to have repeat buyers, or I hope my buyers, would come back to buy again and be willing to pay me money because my cattle have good carcass traits. So they'd be willing to pay me more money. So, uh, you know, I'm not going to say there's a completely right answer to that one. That's how come I asked for you to justify it. You know, justify your answer. So, and even if you came back with this one, even if you did Bull A, hey, Bull A is going to be a low birth weight calf or a low birth weight bull. Those cows should just shoot them out. I shouldn't have any issues at all with calving, and I'd rather have a live calf than a dead calf. Although I know that my calves probably will not weigh as much. Calves from Bull A are not expected to weigh as much as calves from Bull B and Bull C, but at least I'd have live calves. And if I sold an extra calf, that would make up the difference for my dead calf, for a dead calf, if I lost one. You understand what I'm saying? I want you to be able to justify what you're doing. Does that help you some with EPDs and making comparisons between bulls and scenarios?
Yes.
All right, so let's take a look at yours. What you got, you're selling your calves at weaning time. You got mature cows because you're not raising your replacements, you're buying them. What bull would you breed to?
Uh, bull B because it has the highest weaning weight.
Possibly. It would depend on your cows. Do you think they could have that heavy, a heavier calf like that? Or do you have the time to stay with them in case they're having problems? There's a lot of factors to consider. Are your cows, how big are your cows? I mean, just looking at that weaning weight EPD, I understand why you do that, why you would pick that. But if you went with Bull C, you may be giving up some weaning weight, but you may have less calving problems. And if you're working full time, and you got a few cows on the side and they calve while you're at work and you're not there to pull the calf, you could lose a calf and cow both under the Bull B scenario. Whereas you may have more live calves under Bull C because they're smaller or they're expected to be smaller or lighter at birth and therefore less dystocia problems. So it's not black and white, is it, Jasmine?
No.
You didn't want me to say that to you, did you? Oh, I got this down now. I'm selling my calves at weaning. I'm choosing bull B. Doggone it, Dwayne put a real world scenario in there. I'm at work. Those cows could be calving while I'm gone. I didn't want it to be able to squirt it out on its own and me not have to be there. Maybe I shouldn't challenge her. But if you have somebody working for you and they're there and you want to challenge that cow, by all means, go bull B. There's no matter what you do, you're going to justify your answer to yourself or somebody else in real life, and you got to look at all things. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Jasmine, we're out of time, and I will let you go. I'll see you tomorrow. I did not on your. Did you turn? How many assignments did you turn in to me for in that HR class?
I still have to turn in the offer letter and the rejection letter, I think.
Okay, let me tell you what I got for you, so you know. Because if you've done them and you sent them, I couldn't find them. Okay. Uh, I have grades for you for. Let me tell you what you're missing. I'm sorry. You're missing the decision scorecard. If you did it, I don't have it. So you could send it to me. I'm not saying you didn't do it. I'm just saying I didn't see it in the attachment you sent to me.
Okay. It might not have sent. I'll try sending it again.
Okay. So the decision scorecard I'm missing, the offer letter, the compensation, and the rejection letter. Did you
Okay.
do any of those and send them to me and they didn't come through, you think?
Just the decision scorecard.
Okay.
I still have to do the other ones.
All right. So that's what I'm missing on you. You and Keith are about. Well, Keith's ahead of you. He's turned in the decision scorecard and the compensation. All he lacks is the offer letter and rejection letter. He's been staying on top of that. Trying to get it out of the way. So, all right. Uh, Thank you for sending that stuff to me. And for you guys that haven't sent it to me yet, please do so. I want your your nutrition, forage plans, your health plan, and your maps. Uh, so, uh, anyway, you have a good day, Jasmine. Stay warm.
You too.
It is cold out there.
Yes, it is.
It is here. That earth is blowing hard. And it's pretty chilly. Supposed to get snow tonight. They're calling for us anywhere from 1 to 6 inches. So Uh, if we are on inclement weather tomorrow, I'll uh, text. Watch your
Okay.
emails in the morning. But if we're on
Okay.
inclement weather, I'll try to send out I'll contact Tom and let him know, and I'll see what I can do. If my internet's working, I had the same problem. What do you have? Usenet?
We have ours through Dish, but I think that's basically the same thing. But
Ah,
mine's been messing up all week, and it's been taking forever to send anything,
yeah, mine too. It has.
and
I've
every
called Usenet 3 or 4 times, and I can't get them. It's just not working right. So
every time I get
anyway,
ready to do my homework, it'll go out.
what's that?
Every time I get ready to do my homework, the internet will go out.
Huh? I thought I just had that bad
Nah,
luck. Happens to you too, huh?
yeah.
All right.
I'll
Well,
see you
Diane,
tomorrow.
you have a good day.
You too.